Andrea Brecker.
Yeah, and my cat.
Andrea Brecker. Why don't you try one? It's very good for you.
Just brush my teeth.
Oh, God, you know, the world's gonna come to an end if you need a cookie.
And if
Do you know that? Oh, okay, all right. I was doing it. Structural.
And that's instead of using thin sand.
Incident and the concrete board, because if you feel the against the wall, or cinder block wall, you just put that on.
I was complaining about water.
It's the same thing.
Stairway having a good day, but
Because John's on his 8 and John's going to be. That's too much.
I don't know. I know when I saw it. That's what I call it. When I saw it, you already asked for it.
There it is. I'm looking for my, here we go. Okay, I'm back up.
It's all about the website.
All right. Yes, so much time right
This is walking charges.
you know, it's the puddles in our stairway.
No, it's butter that makes it better.
Just a fire next to her.
I do it.
So I have 15 days, but if I was going to broke the door, everybody, you know, I don't just put it. But so the 15 days, it's like barely has it, but I get to broke the door. Maybe that's the 5 days, there's 15 days, 18.
But we have to get some information. I've got to share, we've got to discuss, we're going to see if I can think of it. Because it wasn't on my mind. I think I
I think it's not the kind of, it's just positive, I know, it's direction, next time.
No, it's tomorrow. Oh, we got it. You know, it's like the season. Oh, you're the one who's going to be blown away. It is so dark this year. Yeah, I know. But you have the only reason why they do is because I think like 6 months up. If he wants to like, I should think it's best to find a book right at the beginning. So that they can down. They can have the biggest client.
But they're
In the, yeah, it's not, because I was really one, and I should actually hear or nothing, so.
Okay. All right. All right, meeting's called to order. The attendance sheet is going around. And I think the first order of business is the minutes.
Approval of the minutes, okay. Okay, I move that the Board of Directors approves the July 23rd, 2013 open session minutes as amended and closed session as circulated. I guess we can just...
Don't we need a second?
Yes, we have a second.
Thank you.
All right.
All in favor?
Oh, can I do that?
Yeah.
Oh, all in favor?
You like hanging out.
Okay.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
I just want to be sure I can still do that. You never know. Over the summer, it could have been a coup. Could have been a coup.
You're eating the cookies, you know?
All right. So Russell, you're up.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. First item is the local law roof, balcony, and garage repair report. With the most recent tragic incident involving the death of a young woman, the Department of Buildings has turned the focus on balconies. Morning's Morningside's balconies and enclosures came under question. The first issue is whether or not, based on zoning, if Morningside was able to has the usable square footage to legally enclose the balconies. By enclosing it, basically, we create an additional interior space, and our zoning has to allow for the square footage use of it. Based on a previous zoning report, CTA was able to confirm we have usable square footage. However, this is where it gets a little interesting. Please note, if the available square footage we have in the zoning is allocated to enclosing balconies, Morningside will not have available square footage to later develop the top of the roof, the top of the garage, or extend the commercial properties on Amsterdam Avenue, which is one of the reasons I think that report may have been done several years ago, to see if we had the ability to develop additional areas in Morningside. So keep that in mind on how we move forward with this. It's almost balconies and allowing enclosures, or the ability to further develop area on Morningside's grounds.
So, are we taking questions per item?
Sure, go ahead.
So,
Hold on.
so I mean, obviously we know about the incident on the east side. How did this kind of come about that we, did we get a visit from buildings on this? Or?
We were actually, we filed our local law report for 2013 for Building 4, same as we've done for the other buildings, and we've actually filed the other buildings as safe and have everything passed. Building 4 was denied because they wanted to see additional information and get information on the balconies. So they were going to make us refile as sworn safe with repairs in the meantime until we could validate our balconies. That process may go on a little further. Each balcony may have to get inspected, permitted, and approved to allow the stand. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. We're trying to work out the best way we can move forward with that.
And I think there's balconies, and safety of balconies, and there's enclosures. So how did this kind of play into the enclosure issue and whether, and square footage? Because I don't remember that ever being, I think we were just kind of approved to use this. I don't know if it ever was thought about whether or not it came out of our
I don't think it was. I think it was something, again, this is me looking back at the history of Morningside, which I really don't know. But I believe when at some point in time, the requests started to come into enclosed balconies, and some shareholders were very interested in doing it. Morningside created an internal approval process saying, okay, if you're going to do it, you have to do it with this vendor, these type of materials, and you are allowed to do it. Morningside at that point in time did not go the extra mile to investigate whether that became an issue of becoming usable square footage. Once it was enclosed, it's considered usable square footage. It is a departure from the issue of just balconies and the structure of the balconies, but when the balconies came under question and was looked at by the Department of Buildings, they said, oh, wait a minute, are these enclosures permitted? Are they even allowable on Morningside's property? So we are not under any immediate need or a violation to correct this. It's just being questioned right now, but we could expect some future resolution of how we need to address this.
Maitri? I think Maitri was next.
So the other buildings were approved as they were because this incident hadn't happened. So there's something, this just has to do with the timing. So after this incident happened, you happen to have filed for building 4, and then in that interim, the rules have somehow changed.
Correct.
There's some kind of special kind of assessment of these enclosures.
Yes.
And so now, so it's possible that they might go back and question the other.
They are.
Well, at this point, I don't think they're going to kind of go back and question it. They accept it as being safe, and filed safe at that time, but guaranteed that in the 3-year cycle,
Right. Oh, it will come back anyway.
it will come back. Yes, absolutely.
So that's the balconies, not the enclosure, two different issues.
Well, it's two different issues, but it is separate and apart, but it is also connected. Questioning the balconies questions the enclosures. All of the apartments that do have enclosures.
Yvonne?
Well, I was just wondering how far back, I don't know if Morningside Gardens ever did anything that was not permitted, because maybe they didn't need permission. construction 35, 40 years ago, which I can tell you, there are terraces and balconies that go back that far, if not further, that were enclosed. And yes, we've always had our internal regulations, but maybe back then the city didn't have any regulations either, which in that case, wouldn't it be a question or a possibility of this being grandfathered in?
That is one of the things I don't have an answer to right now, but it's definitely a possibility, yes.
Thank you.
Andy? No? Dan?
I mean, as to the usable square footage, I mean, you know, it would be nice if we reach the point where we can make some decisions about that. You know, there's always variances in these cases too, that you can seek, and, you know, with a friendly council member and, you know, mayor and whatnot, and the community relations committee doing its job, you know, we could, you know, those are options.
That's true.
Okay.
One last question. Should we have a stay, like a hold on new, like
No.
anything? No.
No,
So
you shouldn't hold up
nothing.
anything. Look, the day that young lady fell off the balcony, I texted Russell and told him, I guarantee you, the city's coming after balconies. Woman just died on the east side, fell off a balcony. They're coming after us. Took a month and a half, and sure enough, they're here. And it's a way to make money, because we don't know, just think about this, we don't know if there's not going to be a fee for filing for every one of those here. There could be fees on it. So this is all up in the air, in play, and if it makes the city money and doesn't raise taxes, that's a beautiful thing, because that's the way this whole city has been working now. The whole city works this way. We have hidden taxes here all the time. When we get to talk about Building 6, you'll find out how many fines we had to pay. It's amazing. Okay?
Let me just make a distinction to it on how this was red flagged as part of our local law filing. So it was administratively red flagged. It wasn't red flagged from the inspector coming to the site saying, you're under violation, you know, do something now, which is why at least having this heads up gives us an opportunity to try to resolve it before anything crazy really happens from it. Commercial roof leaks, with the board-approved repairs have been completed. Initially, Dr. Correa's office did confirm, and Citibank both confirmed that there were no more water leaks. However, upon the most recent visit by Donna to the doctor's office, a new leak was reported. We have our architects going back in to investigate the cause of the leak. Entrance canopy roof replacement. The board-approved canopy restoration is currently underway. Unfortunately, this necessitated the closing of our front entrance at various times. Please be mindful of the notices in your buildings of when the closures will occur and follow the directional signage to enter and exit your building. In addition to that, we also underestimated the amount of dust and construction debris that was caused once they started building 1. And I do apologize for the residents that we did disturb by that. However, by the time we hit building 2, we had notices up notifying everyone, reminding them to keep their windows closed, especially on the lower floors.
If I may, you should all take a walk past Building 1,
Yeah, I saw it.
because you realize that we were on borrowed time. It was only a matter of time until the concrete would fall down and actually hit somebody going in and out of that building. So I praise the board for our actions in taking on this project and putting them in good repair, because they'll be good now for a long time into the future.
Projected sidewalk bridge removals. Building 3 is projected to come down within the next 2 weeks, pending Department of Building approval. Building 6, all corrections have been made to the standpipe extensions, and all related violations have been satisfied, and the work has been approved by the DOB, and the work was approved by the DOB site inspector. All necessary paperwork was submitted to the DOB for final approval. And at the time I wrote this, I was on the assumption once we received, the violations were removed, we would be able to take down the scaffold. What it does do is it removes the violation from the building, and now we're calling in for the DOB to come back and re-inspect to allow us to take down Building 6. Bit of bad news, we may have to go the next level and now have the drawings and a permit issued to take the standpipe back flush to the building before they'll allow us to take down the scaffold.
This building is cursed.
Thank you.
Yes.
You personally, the
Very
building.
nice.
Yes.
Not 100% for sure yet, but we're playing that one by ear, so you know. what
Explain
we
the
need to do
violations, explain the hell with the violations, they're gonna love this.
Basically, the violation, when the scaffold was put up, Morningside extended our standpipes. So in the event of a fire, the fire department can reach the Siamese connection on the side of the building. This was done without a permit. It was just done. We just did it. After 3.5, 4 years of Department of Building inspections, one day the inspector noticed it and said, you know what, let me see a permit for the extension of the standpipe. We didn't have it. This, and everything I'm about to say kind of happens times 2. The first thing they do is give us a civil penalty of $5,000 for work without a permit. You have to go to our engineers, have it drawn, have a licensed plumber dismantle it, rebuild it according to code. We went through 3 DOB site inspections before they finally approved it. One inspection, the inspector showed up and stood in the lobby while the guys were by the standpipe and denied us because he couldn't find the guys, supposedly. One time, the second time, they denied it because a word was different in the drawings versus the affidavit from the plumber. One word different. Third round, we finally passed. After the $5,000 civil penalty, the Environmental Control Board jumped on the bandwagon, just a $1,700 fine. After everything was all done, all permits were in place, work was done, everything was submitted back to the Department of Buildings, they said, wait a minute, we're not going to approve you, you have to pay us a $1,500 fine. That was just one building, so all of those expenses of violations times 2, plus the engineering and plumbing to make the work happen.
But now you're saying it has to go back to the way it was, flash against the
Oh, it's supposed to, it has
Well,
to.
at one point or another, it has to.
After the
which-
bridge comes after.
But that's the question right now. Will they allow us to take down the
Did you
bridging?
catch 22?
It's a catch-22. I was talking to a Uric today, and he said the exact same thing. He goes, you can't do it, because he goes, if you take it back now, you technically could be in violation of fire code, because the scaffold is still here, and they might not be able to get to it. If they don't allow you, so we're not sure right now, but the word is we may have to go through that process all over again, sans the violations, do it right, permitted-wise, which is just time, unfortunately, for Building 6.
And you should know that Building 6, once the bridging comes down, it's just punch list work on the lower floor that has to be done.
Yeah.
And we can't get to that. I mean, like,
Right.
we really can't get to it, Andy.
So we just got lucky on 2 and 3? That was probably.
Well, there was no standpipes.
There was no extension
Oh,
needed
there
on
were
the
no
standpipe.
standpipes.
There's only 2
So it's
standpipes.
just 5 and 6.
Right.
All right.
Is there a permit for 5?
Yeah, I think he took care of 5. The guy who's inspected it, we're okay. No, he's inspected it. Because on the day that he denied 6, he had to inspect
But
5.
on the first visit, when they were approved, 5 passed. 6 didn't.
Someone just didn't notice it. If that standpipe was helpful in the fire extinguisher today, I would say thank God for the standpipe.
Update on the chimney. After 2 failed...
I'm sorry, wait.
So, I know that so building 3, first of all, with building 3, is it both sides of building 3?
Yeah, it's building 3 all around.
Okay, so,
Well, wait, so you know, Building 3 will look the same as Building 1 did, which means the front of the building will be halfway
yeah, to
Oh,
building 4.
to Building 4. So you'll be down, but you're not going to be
Yeah.
clear, okay? So let's not misunderstand.
So, that was supposed to be done in August, and I think it was before that originally, so why, now it's gonna be October, so what's, what's the delay on that one?
I don't have specifics to as what specifically delayed it. In our monthly meetings with Brand and with the reports we're getting, there was always some days being lost for weather and things like that, but nothing significant other than just bless you. I don't have a specific answer for that. On exactly what made it delayed.
It's a little, yeah, obviously it's frustrating for all these things, but when you see the light,
1 second. Glenn?
Yeah, just don't think it may have been a time frame when we had to do, when we ran into the temporary roof scenario, but I think after that.
because it doesn't reflect in the minutes, and I'm just wondering, I mean, is it you know, I'm not gonna say we need an owner's rep again, but, you know, I mean, it just seems like things are kind of like the wheels are coming off a little bit in certain areas, and I just wonder where we're going, and if we need to have people pay a little bit more attention to this stuff. Building 5 and 6, and building 3, and all this.
We're all over.
Right,
Building six
as
is
far as the
done.
construction
No,
goes,
well, I
six
mean,
is done.
this mess with the standpipe and stuff, I mean, it just, you know, obviously it's probably a lot of attention, your attention, you know, a lot of people want to like make it work, but, you know, it just seems like we're not, you know, like we're kind of hitting skids again, and, you know, I'm concerned.
I understand. I don't think we're at a point where we need to bring back the owner's rep. Most things are winding down. You know, I know the focus of many people here is always a time frame and the projected time frame of when we put out about when the scaffold's going to come down. But you know, that does constantly get adjusted and changed on a monthly basis. It may not be specific to something.
But it's not supposed to be. They have a time frame. They're supposed to be meeting their deadlines, and they're not. So they blew a deadline by 2 months now.
No, that's never a deadline.
It's never a deadline, it was always projected.
Projected. Okay, so
The deadline-
they blew their projections.
No,
Yeah.
So-
they're still within the time frame.
Yes.
Well, they're in the time frame until 2016, whatever it is.
So,
You know, sure, that will
that's
always be the case.
the change order that you made us accept, right?
That will always be the case, but we know that, you know, I mean, but, you know, there's always the question, like, are they gonna coast with all these allowable days? Or are we gonna hold
They
them?
wanna be out of
And
here.
that's, well, I don't know, but because that's, you know, maybe they do, and maybe this is a slow construction period, and they love to have us kind of, hang around and feed their workers for a few months.
You have no concept of what is going on here, and you make statements that are really inappropriate. This company wants to be out of here. I have met with them. I've sat in local meetings with them. They want out.
Right.
They're going to get out of here. Building 3 will get done when it's done. And it will be done because they have it finished.
Chimney. After 2 failed attempts to lift and support the chimney to install an offset section to address the misalignment of the lower section, causing the outer casing to bow, we've asked International Chimney to supply drawings and recommended solutions to our engineer, Skylar Engineering, for review prior to any further attempts for corrective action is taken. This project, like many others, has become very, very frustrating. We're at a point of we're not sure where we're going to go or what we're going to recommend to the board, but we may have to go down the legal path to find resolution to this one, unfortunately. It's going way too far, way too long. We're definitely going into our heating season, so we're not looking to shut down our boilers again. We do need a resolution to this, and when one comes, whether it's through International Chimney or some other venue, it'll probably happen in the spring at this point in time.
Could you explain the numbers to stop, that last MHHC assessment for change order, how we break these, what does that all mean to us?
Actually, before we get to that one, can we
Oh.
just start at the top? I have a question.
Oh, please.
Change order number 2 is being contested. What was change order number 2?
Okay, change order number 2 was $216,000. International,
No. What was it? What's the work?
a multiple number of things. I could provide it as, I should have given it as an attachment. It's many different things involved in it, that from permitting
They had to do.
expenses. There was many things involved in it. They submitted basically a bill and called it a change order to Skylar. Skylar and I sat down and went over it, and certain things we believe were reasonable expenses, permitting costs, refunding of permitting, certain things where we asked them to do the lower half first and put up an extra scaffold. Certain things we requested, we agreed was reasonable. Our assessment came out to about $106,000. On top of that, we're also asking for $36,000 of liquidated damages from their delays from just launching our heating season. So at this point in time, we believe our total contract value is $523,000.
Hey, go back. So what does the $70,107 represent? right here, what does that number represent?
It's-
Minus 36 ounces man?
It's our
I
106,
just want to be clear.
it's our $106,000 assessment of legitimate change orders
For that change order too.
for change order 2, minus the liquidated damages of $36,000. Takes us down to about $70,000.
Did we pass change orders for the chimney?
Not specifically, no. There wasn't specific, the only change order that was voted on and approved was the
Change
material
order.
upgrade, was change order 1 for the
Yeah.
$34,000.
This other one is.
So, right, what I'm saying is
It's their change order.
they did work and they said, okay, here's change order 2.
They submitted it.
They submitted
And
it,
then we're contesting it.
and we're
Right.
contesting it. In our review with Skylar, there were concessions and things that they did that Skylar agreed would be legitimate change order, things we asked for that was additional. That number was less than half of what they were asking for. This process of them submitting and us contesting it has probably gone on for about 4 or 5 months now. And it's been back in their lap saying, we went back to them and said, we don't owe you $216,000. We think something reasonable would be $70,000. 100,000 minus liquidated damages. We're thinking it's around 70,000 if anything. Please validate your expenses and why you believe this is it, sitting out there. Literally just sitting there unresponded to.
So, but we're still holding on to the 160, so we haven't paid out the full amount in here, right?
Correct.
Because we've only paid 360 of the 419.
So that's good, so then.
So we still have, if the job was said and done, we would have probably paid another $160,000 to close it out. Since that
So
hasn't
we might have to
happened,
pay some, we might pay some.
we have that
so-
money still held in retention.
But
This is the most,
But what the company is asking for our bargain chimney is $670,000?
if we accepted everything they said.
Right.
That's a bargain.
If we accepted all of their charges.
This is, I'm not going to say it, because it only sounds like an attack, but let's just move on.
Okay.
There's a cluster.
All right, move on.
Congratulations.
Move on.
Well,
Okay.
I'd like to ask something about this.
Yes.
To me, this seems like potential litigation. So at what point are we going to discuss what we're going to do here? Should we take this back up in closed session? I don't really know, I don't know what Ezra and company have advised about this, but I think we ought to at least touch on that topic. And,
Well, there's nothing to touch on, because we've just received a communication tonight from Todd, and we're waiting to hear back from Skylar, and then the work has to be completed, if we approve it. And it won't be done this season. We're not going to shut down anything this season now, because it's all, we don't trust them to do the job in 24 hours or 36 hours or 48 hours. So if they come up with a plan, and it's approved, and Skylar says yes, we still don't owe them any money because it's not finished. That'll go into the next spring. At that time, if everything is right and we get them here and they do the work when we expect them to do the work, then they'll have finished the chimney. Now, we've told them what we're willing to pay. They have not come back to us. So there's nothing to decide and nothing to do until something happens. And nothing's happened.
Or until we get.
So Skylar presumably has assured us that the state it's in is safe for the winter.
Yeah, it's not in an unsafe condition. The flue is intact. That chimney is going 24 hours a day because all your hot water, the heat from that is going out that flue.
Okay, replacement boiler controls, the board approved capital project to replace the boiler controls is currently underway. Shareholders should not expect to experience any loss of service during this project upgrade. Replacement of hot water heat exchangers. I have a site visit scheduled with the Metropolitan Area Representative for Friday, September 27th, to confirm Skylar's recommendation to replace the hot water heaters. Their recommended replacement are a viable option. So I believe 2 months ago I reported to the board that PK heaters were the ones recognized by Skylar as a viable replacement solution for us. Rather than going through distributors and warehousing or plumbers, I went straight to PK and said, can we deal directly with you and purchase it at cost directly through you? So they're sending me their New York area representative, and hopefully we can come out with a lower cost. A, confirm it's a viable option. B, come out with lower replacement costs.
Has anyone given thought, this is a shareholder who knows a lot more about this stuff than I do, mentioned this to me, that we used to have water tanks before we had, this is basically an on-demand, these bottles, it's equivalent to on-demand heating system. Before that, we had tanks, and this shareholder said, he thinks the tanks would be cheaper. Is there some reason? I asked the chair of SNS, he said, well, the reason we're pursuing the bottle system is because it's a replacement of what we have right now, but maybe that decision should be reevaluated, which is that really the best thing?
I can definitely look into that. In a general sense, I can confidently say that tanked water heat is a lot more expensive to maintain energy-wise than instantaneous hot water heaters. So,
It's true.
in a general sense, but I can't say that specifically for here. I will definitely look into it as an option.
Could you report back in October? Would you put that down and report back in October? Because I think that's a good question to ask and a good answer to get. Okay, thanks.
Our ventilation system, all calibrating and adjustments and readings were completed in Building 1, the north and south hallway, just in the common areas. The electrical feeds and components were installed safely to accommodate future fan operations. Exhaust in Building 100 is complete and operating properly.
That's the hallways.
In the common area hallways,
Right.
not the apartments yet. Skylar Engineering is helping us with this project as well. They're in the process of providing us with a vendor that could give us direct replacement dampers. Many of our dampers are so old we can't just find them anymore, the ones that were installed here. And rather than performing a demolition and construction in somebody's bathroom to accommodate a new damper, we want to find something that's a direct fit and replacement for anyone we need to replace. So that's where we are with that.
Building 6.
Building 6, the north and south hallway fans were rebuilt and are properly supplied with electrical feeders and components. That has been completed. Calibration and adjustment readings are currently in progress. So, as promised, we're going through our common areas, balancing the system, learning what we need to do with the system. Once we finish all of our common areas, we're then going to want to go into every apartment line at some point in time and balance the system.
So the dampers in the hallway vents are fine, it's just the bathroom?
It appears the bathrooms, they're missing, and for some reason, they've been pulled out. And we have 2 size dampers. We have, what are they?
Hallway and then 2
Well, the
internal.
hallway's separate, but the bathrooms come in 2 sizes. But they're both the same square inches. They cover the same square inches, even though they're 2 sizes. What is it, like one is, I forgot the sizes. Jeez. They come out to the same square inches, it's just the hole has to have a different size damper.
But anyway, no, the hallway dampers are all fine.
Fine.
In 100, yes.
But you're adjusting them.
Yeah. Well, they're done.
In 100,
They're done.
100 is done. We're in building
Talking
6
about
now.
building 6.
Building 6 is in process.
Because you can hear in Building 1, you can actually hear it working.
Mhm.
You can actually hear the sound of it working.
We are.
So it's
Where's
in
that?
Building 1.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't hear it.
I heard it. I was in the building. You can actually hear it working. I mean, it's definitely
You
working.
sure you're
Yeah.
listening to the fans?
Yeah.
People have better hearing than
Yeah,
that.
Okay, just checking.
I believe I previously reported to the board 2 months ago or before that we all kind of tied this back to some point where Morningside hired a vent cleaning company to come in and clean all the
Yeah,
vents,
yeah, yeah.
which basically unbalanced
That's
every
right.
system. So much of the issue was more of this balancing of the balancing of the vent system versus new fans, new motors. Although that is, of course, something we have to do when a fan fails. Exterior lighting. On September 5th, Management and the Exterior Lighting Subcommittee met with Domingo Gonzalez to officially kick off the exterior lighting design project. The entire project is expected to take 8 months for design. The following is a list of phases and projected timeline. We have several phases: pre-design, schematic design, a Morningside review, a design development, and we're projected to receive our first presentation in February of 2014. At that point, we will conduct a second review and go into a construction documents and a construction phase, projected to be end of April and or beginning of May of 2014.
Are there exact meeting dates for each of these categories, that when Domingo's coming here to meet with us, or that's to be determined within that time frame? In other words, for the schematic design, I assume he's coming back to talk to us again? Or
Yeah,
that's not-
there will be, I think there's 3 scheduled Morningside meeting dates to meet with the committee,
All right.
the subcommittee.
Well, the board should know those dates, because any board member may attend.
Of course,
You know,
of
to
course.
preserve, so if you can get that to us, the dates for these meetings, the exact dates, because everybody's anxious to put it in their calendar and just spend more time working diligently on it.
I think at this point in time, we just have, I think at this point, we just have ranges of dates for certain timeframes
Right.
of deliverables. So I'm sure once we get a little closer in time, we'll confirm actual dates with everyone.
All right, just let us, you know,
Absolutely.
whatever dates you do have, let's have them. Whatever new dates you have, get them to us, whenever that happens. Okay, go ahead.
On the same day, immediately following the exterior lighting kickoff meeting, Domingo provided his consultation services to management and members of the interior lighting subcommittee for the interior hallway lighting. The subcommittee will meet with their parent committee, SNS, and provide management with their recommendations in the near future.
Go ahead, Dan.
Who's Domingo and,
Domingo Gonzalez.
If you remember,
oh, our Domingo?
Yeah, no, Domingo Gonzalez, the
the lighting firm, we
lighting
engaged,
design.
if you remember, we engaged Domingo Gonzalez to design our exterior lighting. We agreed to a contract, we approved it,
Okay.
and we agreed that we wanted to have him give 2 more hours. The president announced that they would get 2 hours to discuss with him for the interior lighting, which they did. Go ahead.
Our temporary garbage solution and rodent control, the greenhouse was removed and 3 lockable trash and recyclable containers were installed. As a result of the removal, the rodent activity has decreased substantially. Updated notices were sent to shareholders, and our exterminating company has provided an update on the rodent issue that they reserved in the garbage area and found it to be in very good condition, in very good shape. I will never, ever sit here and tell everyone you'll never see a rodent again. However, I think the general consensus from anyone who's been in the area or continually using the area for composting can say that they very rarely see any rodents anymore.
Yeah, it's great.
Thank you.
I agree.
Our in-house porta
Russell,
closet.
Can I ask something
Yes.
about that?
Sure.
What's, I know this is not exactly the point, but why could we not, or why would we not use this temporary solution as our permanent solution?
Well,
I
because
love the way you're thinking. It's actually,
it would be a good idea, but the sanitation department wants us to go to a roll-on, roll-off system for the garbage. And this is not a roll-on, roll-off system. This is you open the trap door and you send men in and pull out the bags. When you have a roll-on, roll-off system, they send a truck, pulls the up, takes it away, dumps it, brings it back, puts it down, and you start all over again.
The elimination of labor.
I think that's the reason.
well, between that and, but to your point,
But they've approved what we have now.
No, they haven't approved anything,
Well,
because this is nothing to approve. We're storing the garbage in the same location where they picked up the last garbage. The difference is we've put it in a secure container that can be locked. There's no involvement here with sanitation.
well, as far as just the route area supervisor, you know, he actually could technically give us a hard time of how we set up what we did. So before we even did it, we had his kind of backroom handshake saying that'll be a reasonable solution, same area, everything else. I'm glad you brought that up too, Doug, because I actually asked Cutso George to give us a design to extend for lower costs to the board, because we did hire them to design the sanitation solution area. I asked if they would mind including a third option that would simply incorporate what we have. So I wouldn't take it off the table or say it's not a possibility, but again, it's a temporary solution that works, so
If it works.
if it
Well,
works,
well, here's
it's
the thing.
definitely worth consideration.
The sanitation department doesn't want to use manual labor to pull the recyclables into their truck. They really want to be able to pick it up and throw it into the truck. So that's another issue. We're behind what they want to do. So if we're going to do something, they want us to be as close up to the present of where they're going as opposed to where they're not going to be.
So I should know this, but when they come now and pick up, it's the sanitation guys who are going in and pulling
That's
it
right.
down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a couple of guys usually stationed there to give a little bit of support
Yeah.
and help if they need it, but generally it's Department of Sanitation.
Okay, that's nice that we want to do that for them, but, right, I mean, you know, if it's,
No, they're changing the requirement. You're missing what I'm saying. I'm not saying we're doing them a favor. They want to pick up garbage. This is the way they want everything moving forward.
It's a requirement, not
Want is an interesting
Right.
word. Demand,
Demand.
require.
They're making it.
Because they're telling us this is the way you have to have the garbage go in the future. Everything is going this way.
Right, no, the question was want.
Right.
We're not doing it because they
No,
want
no,
us.
we're not
No.
going to start getting fines because we don't have a roll-on,
No,
roll-off.
because right now, we're doing the same thing we've always done.
Okay.
That's
So-
it. But if we move it, we change location, then we're talking about a whole new set of rules.
I think that's beyond the competition, we're not talking about moving it.
Well, we are talking about it.
I mean, my next point kind of just rolls right into this discussion, I think, too. CTA, Cutso George, is currently working on verifying that one roll-on, roll-off container will be adequate to service all the needs and to meet Department of Sanitation requirements. Basically, the calculations are performed by the Department of Sanitation for the roll-on, roll-off program by the amount of bedrooms versus the amount of just physical units. So they get our bedroom count for Morningside, crunch numbers, and say, well, based on that, we think you might need 2 roll-on, roll-offs. If that becomes a requirement, that might change the game on whether or not we are even able to do it or physically plot the space allowed to do it. So that's still in the air right now, whether one will work or 2. Our in-house porter lighting closet project, buildings 3, 4, and 5 are completed. Building 6 is in progress. The floors 10 through 21 have been completed, as well as buildings 1 and 2 are both still in progress as well, and floors 10 to 21 have been completed. Let's see. Our parking re-registration, all vehicles.
One second. Capital budget plan is item number, it's on page 18 and 20, that goes to the shareholders. Just want to be clear on that. That becomes part of the flash report in the minutes.
Is there anything that's changed in there?
There's a few little changes, I think.
Well, it's updated to include the second quarter. The first time the report was produced, it was just for the first quarter of 2013. This has now been updated for actual expenses through June 30th of 2013.
Which we should know where we are.
Every quarter, I'll continually update this and provide a different data.
Yes, Doug.
Can I ask something about this, the capital budget?
Sure, please.
On page 20, the bottom line numbers, like column I, remaining projected costs as of July 1st, 2013, this is the remaining projected cost for all the capital projects that are listed, right?
Except interior lighting, we have no number for that.
Okay.
And that's going to require an adjustment of numbers in here when we find out what that number is.
Okay, so this number will get bigger at some point.
No, it doesn't have to get bigger if you move what's around inside the graph to adjust for where the money's being used. It could stay the same. Right now, we appear to be very lucky. We're able to move and absorb what we've done capital-wise, excluding overall revenue. If there may come a day when that number will require to get bigger. When it gets bigger, then we have to think about it.
Okay, so my question is, right now, as stated, that figure is 10.5 million.
That's right, it's been the same way now.
And the, down below, the total reserve fund as of that date is 8 million. So does that mean that we have a shortfall of 2.5 million?
If you did all the work, if everything,
Project.
if you had to do the work tomorrow and pay the bill tomorrow, that would be the case. But this is a 10-year plan that was created in this way.
Some of the additional funding will come from flip
The
tax.
comparison is
things
not
like that.
8, comparison is 6.7.
That's right. I didn't want to tell that, but okay. It's really $4 million short if you had to do it all today. assuming these prices are in real time today without changing them higher, yes, but right now we're working at a pace that we're able to absorb this and still bring in funds from the flip tax and things like that.
Okay, our parking re-registration process has been completed. We thank all the shareholders for participating and helping us validate everyone's parking, and we now have and will maintain our updated records moving forward. The next
Put a sticker on.
the next big item or after the parking, which would
That's my de Blasio sticker.
as promised, the next focus will be on the bike storage room and exterior rack. I wanted to put something out for not necessarily a board vote or just a thought process for the board to begin to consider is charging for the outdoor racks. Just open it on the floor as far as it seems as though it turned out to be.
All right, this is going to be, this may be the most controversial thing in the world.
I just want to say this.
No, not the money.
I just believe that it turned out to be an exterior storage yard versus an active transient bike areas as people may have initially thought it should be.
I see the hands. I'm going to deal with them now. Yvonne first.
Please note that those exterior bicycle racks were never, were initially put out there when we were doing the elevator replacement. And because we only have one elevator working in each building, the idea was to make it convenient for people not to have to get into an elevator with bicycles.
Okay.
But it was never a permanent solution for anything. And then local law 11 came, and the bike racks remain for now. But I do think that the board needs to first decide whether or not we should have bike racks, also where they should be placed, because where many of them are placed now, right in front of the main floor doorways, is personally, I think it's not a good idea to have them there. I think it's a hazard, and it's also an eyesore. So I think we need to go back to the drawing board before we decide whether or not to even charge for them, where they should be, and if we should have them, and where they should be.
Okay.
John?
I would concur. I will show you a picture of what Building 2 looks like.
I see it every
It's
day.
like a war zone. These bikes are there permanently. We spent how much money on plantings and pottery and all this other stuff, and we come out and I see bikes that look like body bags that have been chained to the fence, not the bike rack.
But even the ones changed to the bike rack are...
And it's so unsightly, and it needs to be put in a different place.
Indeed.
Okay, I just want to say that, please, I don't think it's a good idea to increase the cost for bike, in the bike rooms, because my understanding is bike rooms aren't even full. We should not be charging more unless they're full. And we just increase the cost.
No, I think
It's free.
But then, so
You're talking the interior. The interior is being charged.
yeah, $10 a month. So I don't think it should go up until they're full. But it's like, and I just want to, I have a very different opinion. Yeah, I do agree they're ugly, but I'm a bicyclist. My bike and all the bikes in my apartment are in our apartment. I'm not using outdoor bike parking. But I do think this city has become much more friendly to bikes. I ride my bike everywhere. There are lots and lots of bikes everywhere, and I hope that we don't become a place where there's nowhere to park your bike outside. So I'm not saying the present solution is perfect. I just hope that we do not end up with a solution where there's nowhere to park your bike.
Wait. My tree.
I think Dan had his hand before.
Dan, was that your hand up?
Yeah.
I think you're just resting.
Before I punch you, Rita.
Okay.
Well, so I think raising the fees is really, I disagree with that. I don't think that's a good idea. I think we should be encouraging more of a green solution. I think encouraging people to bike versus cars, I think is more appropriate. I know that security was going around taking out bikes that looked like they were just hanging around. So I thought that was part of the solution we talked about earlier in the summer. That if it didn't look like it was in use, I could think that just chained to the fence or something and just sitting over there. I thought the first thing was to clear them out, so that the ones that were in there were actually actively used. So I mean, maybe the placement can be better, maybe, you know, I know we talked earlier about putting more racks so that we would actually encourage more people to bike, so I think making it friendlier rather than more punitive. And I think like the fees, I think are ridiculous. I think fees are already too high. I think if anything, I would actually encourage lowering them because if the rooms are not being used because the fees are excessive, of course we're going to move them
Well,
outside.
first of all, do we have spaces in the room? I thought we had finished that.
Yeah.
No. The problem was, I think I reported on it a while ago, but
You're hearing from the general manager.
the problem is that the records were horrible. We tried to, I know Detta was involved, trying to help us fix the records and identify who's where, what's what, and see what spacing we had available. The problem is we know who we've charged. We know who has paid this year on bikes. However, we don't know where they are. The record, it was never lined up like parking where we know what shareholders and what
Over the
space
sign,
number.
yeah.
That never, I don't know, existed or at some point was lost over time, but that base was lost. So we now have to go through this process of validating who has paid, where you park your bike, and then we have an exact idea of what spaces are available to go out to a wait list, which honestly
And there is a wait list.
it's over 100 people on that wait list.
And we're gonna
This
fill
is a
every
long-
spot.
This is a long time coming.
Yeah.
Now, if I may, if you think about the bike racks, see, inside, it's irrelevant how many bikes, if we can fill it up, we're gonna fill them up, we know we're gonna do that. But when you put outdoor bike racks around, and every morning you walk out, and the bikes are there, and when you come in the afternoon, the bikes are there, and when you come home and in the evening, the bikes are there, that's not a bike rack that's being used so that someone can transport themselves around the city. We agree with that. What we don't agree with is that the exterior bike racks are storage points, because that is an eyesore. And if you just take the time to look, I think between 4 and 5, I think there's a horrible mess underneath the thing, which will dissipate as we pull down the scaffold. We'll start to look at these bikes. But you look at Building 2. That's been cleared out once with dead bikes. So what's there is a live bike, belongs to somebody. And theoretically it's there because they're getting up in the morning and they're riding that bike. And then they're coming back at the end of the day and putting the bike there. But if the bike never leaves 7 days a week and is there, it's a storage point. It's an ugly storage point. Now, we pride ourselves on being a gardens, on being attractive. That system of what we have now is horrible in terms of what people see. It cheapens us in some way. I don't care that the bikes are stored as long as they were being used, because that's the purpose of that rack. But if it's a storage point, that's wrong. I saw somebody's hand.
Yeah,
Jerry.
I hear what you're saying, and I would actually like to see the racks as not a storage place for somebody to have them all the time. I'd like to see them as a kind of a transient bike that, you know, that it's there and it's available to people if they're coming to visit, but the idea of having bikes there all the time as storage, where it's almost actually just kind of, I don't know, for people that are not storing their bikes there, it's almost infringing on their space. So I would like to see bikes not there all the time, have space for people who are coming to visit or whatever, or, you know, have it out for the day. And I don't know, maybe like the lockers at the gym, my gym, where, you know, they cut blocks at night or something.
Yvonne?
I just wanted to clarify that I'm not in any way advocating that we shouldn't have bike racks, but I can tell you before we had the scaffolding in front of Building 5, the bike rack is right in front of the door. I mean, literally to the left of the door. And what happened was it was being used for storage. People who wanted to leave their bikes there often couldn't. Then people were leaving little cars and toys. All the children, little children's parents or whoever were leaving toys and things right in front of the door that got moved around and blocked the door. And then we also, because probably of the location, Because, from Building 5, you can run out to 123rd in Amsterdam. We had a rash of thefts of bicycles as well, and that's another reason why. I mean, I do think that they shouldn't be in front of the door. It's a hazard. People tend to, even as much as you want to control them, people are not always going to do the right thing. And I do think there are other safe places. I think there's an area probably down between buildings 4 and 5, at least for buildings 4, 5, and maybe even 3. There might be enough room, not too far from where the guard booth is. Right now there's still scaffolding and everything, so I think we should think about having it in a place that's safe and out of the way of the front door or near the back door. You've got to have some space for people to come in and out.
John B.
I agree 100% with what Yvonne said, and also with it, like in front of building 2, it encourages people to ride their bike across the plaza, which they're not permitted to do according to the house rules. I agree. We need places for bike racks. There are plenty of other places to put them. Just with a little forethought, I think we can solve this problem and make everyone happy.
So, Dan?
Two things. First of all, do we know how many indoor spaces do we have? Do we know that?
I do, but not off the top of my head.
Regarding like who goes where, I mean, I'm assuming we know like how many spaces we have and how many people we're billing, and that one.
There's definitely there's a decent gap. We have available spaces to rent. I just don't know what they are.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it difficult.
So I think this, I mean, it sounds like there's definitely some solutions here in terms of that could be like partial transient bikes, that could be maybe closer to the door, but not the giant metal racks maybe, and then partial maybe some permanent low cost spaces outside. I mean, I think that everyone's going to go for what the freebie is, so that's why you probably don't have a lot of people in the indoor spaces now because they're parking outside. You can't, the economics are that you can't, that's just what people are going to do. So you got to have something where there's an incentive to either put it inside or, you're going to put it outside with the weather that's at a lower cost and have transit, but, without the, not in front of the building. So there's some solutions here.
Well, there won't be a solution until after Russell finishes what he's doing with the bikes. And then we'll come back, we'll revisit it, and we'll see, maybe we'll make a subcommittee to look at this spacing, figure something out. Maybe we'll incorporate, I don't know, we'll see, we may have to get some high-priced consultant to tell us where to put a piece of bar on the ground or something. I don't know, that's what everyone wants to do, so. Go ahead.
So, yeah, I just want to, I'm glad I was able to bring this topic up.
I'm glad you did.
And bring it to the forefront. In the next month or two, we're going to resolve the interior issues and go to the wait list and rent.
You woke everybody up this evening.
Well, in line with that, we are coming to an end of our storage room contract with Bargold Storage.
Good.
So we are looking into our options with that as well, to whether or not we would look to purchase the units, buy them out, renew a lease with Bargold. At this point in time, I'm not prepared to make a recommendation on it, but I have met with them, and we do have options in front of us currently.
Now, Keith said that he has bought them out in other buildings. So I think we want to buy them out because they just raise it, it goes in their pocket. It's $5 a month, I think it just went up, right?
Yeah,
So,
they just increased.
And what do? They paint the closet.
Do they pay us anything?
They give us a
It's
percentage
like a
back.
locker room concession.
What do we make of them?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I saw them, but that was 18.
If they're increasing the rent, then they should increase.
But the point is this, you're paying them for a structure that's installed in our building, that it's pretty permanent. And the only thing they do to maintain this is to paint it once a year, which we could do just as easily, because nothing rots on this thing. It's the perfect storage unit in terms of, it's perfect. So we should look into, maybe next month we can come back with an idea of what it would cost us to buy, when we would buy rental, when we would come out.
How much?
Yeah, the information was
per unit.
The information was provided to the board packet, but like I said, at this point it's not.
Page
I haven't
24.
evaluated it.
24?
Fully looked at it.
I got it, all right.
$1,800 per unit to buy our
To buy them out.
own
Yeah, but I got the feeling from Keith that he didn't pay what they asked.
No,
That they wanted to get out.
that's their
Their opening shot, that's why I'm
That's their
saying it's
opening
not-
shot, but again, they're 3, 4 years old, depreciation, we could probably get it.
The hinges are one, hinges are one. I think they're not 3 or 4, I think if you go with the very first one, I think it's about 10 years now that we have them. So-
They're great units.
So depreciation on that, there's no, they're getting old.
We do have the units, if we think they're getting very old, they'll just remove everything and give us back our space.
Yeah, but that's what they don't want to do.
No,
They-
it's right
they
there,
can bring-
for free.
Well, right, they're
Yeah, but
they're out of contract, remove your storage.
We don't
Then
really
at that
want to do
point,
that. Then we have to put it in.
Right.
all of the residents would have to come, clear out all their materials, take it home, figure it out, wait for us to now implement a solution.
But obviously, the calculation is how much will it cost us to put in whatever it is versus, I'm sure that's the calculation they're making
What is
versus
the rental
what they want to
rent
sell
right now?
our rooms to us for.
And what do people pay? Does anyone have one? What do you pay per month?
I heard it's 100.
The large one is 67 now. It just went up. The large is 67. I'm not sure how much is there are only 2 sizes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the half size and the full size.
So I guess it's half that.
I think so, I think it's something like that.
You could build your own units, but you're not going to get anything half as nice as what they did.
Yeah, but you could probably put a lot more stuff in there. I mean, there's a lot of wasted space in there too.
No, there's not. It's good figure.
Well, first of all, you don't have to, you can use the ceilings. I mean, you don't have to stop it here. You can get a little higher than that, for one thing. You can put cages up to go, that don't have the ceiling on it. People, for one thing, those things are short. So. But.
I'm laughing never mind. I don't want to
New
criticize you.
ideas, they scare you or something?
No, I don't want to criticize you. It's fine, that's your idea, good.
Could I just ask, is it clear in the lease that they have the right to remove their fixtures at the end of the lease?
Yeah, it's always been their units. So
Oh, it's for the daily
if we don't renew with them, it's their units. And don't buy them out, they'll take them.
I'm just asking if anybody checked the lease.
No, that's the lease, that was the lease at the beginning. As I remember the lease, when it was advertised to the community, it's their units, they own them, they can take them out at the end of the lease. And we've renewed that lease at least once, I think. Well, yeah, it had to be at least once. And
Okay, sales and transfer report, the August customer satisfaction report, we completed. There were 142 total reported work orders. We received feedback from 92 satisfied shareholders, and we're waiting for feedback from 50 shareholders. Again, I say this, I think every meeting, your feedback is really important to us, so if you're not satisfied or even satisfied, please give us the feedback so we can help continually improve our systems.
may I ask questions? John, in our website, do we have a way of doing this? It's not there now, but we could do it, right?
Right, I don't think it's there now.
Okay.
It can be added.
All right.
Our sales and transfer report for the months of July, August, and September, 9 units closed. 3 of the 9 were estate apartments on the market for the last 6 years. We currently have 6 units pending to close. There are 4 scheduled interviews in the next TSC meeting in October, and 10 units are under contract. Currently, there are 27 apartments on the market, and there have been 25 closings so far this year. Commercial
Can I
space.
jump in for a second? I just want to point out, we collected almost $160,000 in liens in the last 2 months.
I don't know if that was the place for that jumping, but that's okay.
Well, it's part of the sales, it's part of our collection on sales.
Right.
Our commercial space with Dwayne Reed, our broker Robert K. Futterman reports they currently have 9 potential interested tenants and over 50 companies pending that they have reached out and marketed to. Our laundry room contract, the contract for our laundry rooms with McCray is set to expire in January 2014. Over the next month, walkthroughs with multiple companies have been or will be scheduled.
Would you like to speak about what you've been hearing about the spinner?
The extractor.
The extractor. So, I don't want anybody to be surprised that this is coming up, because we've got to be prepared for this. But go ahead.
Well, one of the feedback we're getting from, at this point, I think 3 separate companies, and generally the bigger companies as well, is that many no longer support the extractor. Their claim is the newer machines, washing machines, when on their spin cycle, the RPMs of the newer machines is equal to or greater than what an extractor can do. So having to have a separate unit as an extractor, many of them won't service it or won't have it in their contract. However, with that said, I want anyone who's able to offer that as a continued solution for our renewal to give us that option as well. But if they're unable to, I have still invited them to submit a bid on the laundry rooms.
Yvonne first, and then Nitro.
In defense of the extractor, I understand, I know they always say that, I know about machines, that when they're new, and especially when they're new, the centrifuge works very well, and if you get one that has the RPMs, they do work well, but with the wear and tear that they have in these buildings, it doesn't take very long. In less than a year, the centrifuge is already not working as well. And I think any of us who do laundry here can attest to the fact that the extractor will really, really, when you put your things in the extractor, you see just how well the centrifuge do not work.
1 second before you speak. Is there a way to put in a contract, if these guys are coming up and saying that this does this really well, and what Yvonne is saying, by a year, it changes. Is there a way to test that RPM and then find, and if it doesn't meet it in our contract?
Make it a contract requirement
Right,
of some
that
sort?
always has to meet that contract, assuming that we're going to have a problem with the extractor, assuming that's a possibility. If we have in a contract that says that they're guaranteeing this many RPMs on the rinse cycle, and that at the end of every year, they will test every machine to be sure that it's putting out that many RPMs. And if it fails to do that, they will replace whatever they have to replace in the machine to get it back to that RPM. That wouldn't be a bad thing, I don't think, if it's possible.
We could ask for anything and see what's possible with the
Okay,
feedback.
Nitrate first,
So,
then Alfred, then
Are you-
Andy, then Dan. Go ahead.
are you thinking that, that the option is one, to continue with McRae or then, or potentially get replacement to replace like if we don't go with them, what are the other options? We would get brand new companies.
Well, we're interviewing new companies. Correct.
So, but that's definitely a possibility that we could potentially replace them. In which
Yeah,
case, there would be a
always.
period where we would have to take out, like,
There'll be a laundry room switch out. So
Right.
I think
So then
even
they would
if
be
McRae stayed, if that was the final decision
Yeah.
of the board is for McRae to
It's a
stay,
switch out.
there will still be a switch out of an updating of the equipment and
so,
machines.
but what needs to happen by January? It's like, does the switch out need to happen by then? Like, or do you start that conversation, does it start in January? Like, how short is this window? by
No,
then?
well,
We have to
the
decide.
January is when their contract ends,
Right,
so which is why we want to use the next month or two to review and see what else is out there and get competitive bidding. And it's not a bidding of what we pay for, it's more of the bidding process of what they're willing to pay us to run our laundry systems here. So it's an income generating thing for the corporation.
right.
If, for whatever reason, we go beyond January, it's not like McRae is going to just throw up their hands
Well,
and pick
that's
up
my
the
question,
machines and walk
how
out.
tight is that deadline? Like,
They could extend easily on a month-to-month
Okay.
until we figure out
So
what we're going to
if
do.
you want to stuck with them, like, we don't decide by January. stuff.
No, but I
No.
do think that we have enough time frame now to not extend them on a month-to-month
You
and
should-
really worry about it.
Depending on what the contract says, some of them will say if you don't notify us within 60 days of the end of the contract, then you're committed. But as long as, I would hope that we would know within the next 2 months. Do you know what the contract says as
We
far
don't
as
have that
notice?
clause. There's not an automatic renewal on their on their
Okay.
contract.
But if we let them know, then we would go month to month until we made a change.
The idea is to be as efficient as possible at the time, because you don't really want to go month to month, because the service starts to fall off. Because they know they're going to lose the contract, the machines are going to come out. So, they complain about the service. So you want to be as close to on time as you can. Alfred.
Okay, I have a couple comments. One on the newer machines, which are supposed to have the centrifuge revolution rate that, you know, they supplied us with new machines.
Your building, I
Yes,
believe,
yes.
too.
As a-
You had two of them, right?
Two of them, to show how good their new machines are. And 4 or 5 months later, there's a perceptible drop off, okay? And there used to be a big difference between the amount of how dryer clothes we get in the new machines versus the ones we've had.
Make it every 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
A year is too much. Make it every 6 months to test.
I was trying to be nice.
Andy?
So I have a two-part question, which is, first off, do we own the extractors?
No. I
No.
don't.
It's Matt Gray's?
It's McRae's.
Wait, no, everybody, hold on. Those are our
That's what I
extractors.
thought.
So their contract was just to maintain them for us.
Right, so there was a whole issue, just let me
Okay.
refresh everybody's memory.
My fault.
The extractor had you used to put money into that machine. When Matt Gray took it over, we were still putting money in, except they weren't working. So the compromise was reached with the board and the contractor that they would be free from now on. So that's why you put the clothes in, you cover the top, and it's an extractor. But they're maintaining the extractor. If that machine is older, as old as I think this place is.
No, it isn't.
No?
Because we had, no.
You had others.
The ones that we originally had, we had for about 40 years. So
Okay.
these are new.
These are new, but they're ours.
So we own them, I think there's general agreement that people love these things, and they're good for the environment, we're putting less carbon dioxide in the atmosphere by not running heaters, and it's a very efficient system.
Close
So-
dryers.
What'd you say, Dan? What? I'm sorry?
Dryers.
Oh.
You're reminding me of the alternative is dryers.
Clothesline. We can do that.
But, so maybe there's an option, since we own these things, that we could just maintain them. Is it possible that if we have a company that will not support the extractors, like, okay, the rest of the room is yours, that's our thing over there, and we'll maintain them?
The issue is it's getting tight. It's getting tight to a point where the more years go on, it's getting more and more difficult to even find replacement parts and components for them. So at some point, if we do keep them and say they're ours, obviously, and continue to maintain them, we will hit a wall. There will be a point in time where we will not be able to repair them.
We
So
can't tell you what that did.
finding some kind of a modern solution that it's going to be a bit of a challenge.
Who's that girl?
Dan and then Yvonne.
Dan.
It's a couple things. First of all, is First Service advising us that you guys have top-notch, contractors on this? For your-
The one I met today was referred to me from Library.
We work with all of them. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, first, every bit of water and soap that goes down that drain is 50 cents less that's going into their pocket. So that's why one of the reasons they don't want to fulfill this stuff. I think that, we could maintain this. I think that, kind of looking at this as a separate piece, maybe it means like buying up, 20 years of parts for some of these things. Because they're a really solid state, and they make a difference.
Yvonne.
I'd like to say that I agree with Dan, and I think that Andy made a good point too, because if not everybody extracts their clothes, but those of us who do use the extractor know that you can run the dryers for less time, which is really a great thing to do. The other thing is that they actually are a great backup for when the machines, 5 months down the road, stop working, and they start dancing all over the place, which they do in my building.
Yours aren't naked? Yours aren't naked?
I'll tell you what happens, when they get enough use, the rubber that is around the barrel inside that's supposed to be controlled.
Oh, you're talking about the barrel, you're talking about that.
But they-
I think the machine's dancing.
Oh, yeah, the machines, no, then the machines start dancing. Every few months, every 2 or 3 months, we have machines that are about to fall into the...
Same thing.
And your building, that fall into the thing. And it's every 3 months, I would say. They're worn out already, and they start dancing all over that. They're supposed to be anchored down, but once that rubber is gone, nothing holds them.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, we're done with the laundry room? We're as done with the laundry room as we're going to be until we get back to the next piece of information. And I'm as excited as everybody else, so let's go.
Last item is hopefully a simple one. It's our property insurance renewal. I have a recommended motion for the board.
If you all remember, I just want to remind you before this motion is introduced, we did this by email. This was renewed, so we're doing a formal vote to make it official, okay? Go ahead, read it.
Recommended motion, move that the board approves the renewal of our property insurance, including terrorism, with affiliated FM for $238,890.
Okay, who's moving it? Who's gonna move it? Jerry? Okay. Who's seconding it? John. Okay. We're ready to go. This should be a straight vote, okay? All in favor? It's unanimous.
Is that it?
That concludes my open session report, yes.
Question, can I ask something that's, two things that are not on here? Yes, the energy guy.
Starts October 1st, we sign the contracts.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all done. We're waiting, we go on the system on October 1, and we will have reports regularly. He promised us reports, correct?
That's correct.
And we're gonna find out how efficient this is and how much money we're gonna be saving. I cross my fingers on this. We voted it out,
Agro information.
and I signed the contract.
Good.
Okay?
And-
We're ready? Good.
Can I just add one thing?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if you've mentioned this before, but next week, we will be launching our annual customer satisfaction survey called NPS. So all of the board members, those of you who were here last year already received this, but for new board members, you'll get most likely an email asking one basic question regarding your satisfaction with First Service. So I would encourage everyone to respond, add as many comments as you would like. It's on a scale of 1 to 10. And if any of you are familiar with NPS, it's Net Promoter Score. So a promoter is a 9 or a 10, so it's not like the usual score where a 7 or an 8 isn't bad either. Once you go below a 9, you become, is it neutral? There's a word, I don't remember.
So you want us to vote 8, straight 8? I wasn't sure.
No, I want you to be,
Honest.
this is information that is very valuable to us because on a corporate level, they need to hear from our board members and
So wait a minute,
want
wait a
really
minute.
honest feedback.
If 8,
Yes.
if below 9 is neutral, doesn't show anything, when do you get down to the negative that shows? What number is that?
7 and 8 are, and I can't remember, the neutral, and then 1 through 6 are detractors.
Okay, just out of curiosity, because you made a
But
point
it's
of
a
this.
scale, because it's a scale that isn't a normal scale.
Now, are we all getting it, or just the new people getting it?
Everybody.
Oh, all right, the way you said it, I thought it was just Jerry getting it.
No, it's an opportunity
Yeah,
for
board
the
members.
board members, but I thought the shareholders there should know that we're doing this also.
All right, so don't forget, we're renewing our contract next year. We want to get them a really nice score so they understand they have to respond to us. You know what
Absolutely
I mean?
not, this is, I know you're committed.
I am?
Yeah.
I don't know, I winked at everybody. I think they know I didn't.
No, if you don't want to get a high score because someone asks for more money, you have to be satisfied.
That's right. That's exactly
Keep you
right.
happy and get trash.
Okay.
Always room for improvement.
All right, we're up to the agenda you have says I'm first, but we did that because John is now teaching a class on Tuesday evenings, and we thought we weren't sure where he was going to come in, so we're going to go back to our regular format, which is the treasurer's report before the president's report.
So, we had our financial meeting this past week where we had our 6-month review, and it came out pretty good. The main things that came up at the review, the fuel, because last year we had the temporary boilers, and the fuel costs were so skewed last year. They're still working on adjusting that number versus what we actually spent versus what we budgeted for. So that is in the works currently. Our movement on arrears, the reason why I wanted to point out we collected $160,000 in arrears. We had last year been in jeopardy of arrears going over $1.3 million, which was going to start to be a problem for us with our budgeting. It is coming down, but is not quite where we want it to be yet. So we need to continue our aggressive stance to collect the arrears. We still have quite a bit of money in arrears. There are probably 12 to 15 people that are in arrears over $20,000. Right? That's the number?
Yeah, that's about right.
And the top one right now, I think, is $130,000. That might be an estate, but the lawyers are working aggressively on that, and that we're starting to see the benefits of that when you see these sales coming through. The other thing that's happening that's kind of interesting, when the loan was taken out from Wells Fargo, and we were in the middle of all this Local Law 11 projects, Wells Fargo took X amount of dollars and put it in a reserve fund, which they have. And what happens is, as we pay Brand and all these contractors, we then go to Wells Fargo and say, we paid all these contractors, give us the money, because they're holding the capital on us. And then they come, they do a review, they look at the site, they be sure the work is done, they make sure it's done, and then we get our funds. And so we've collected money from them, and that's gone down a bit. I think it's probably $3 or $4 million now. It was 6 when I was on the board this year. So as we are coming to the end of the Local Law 11 work, we've instructed Mindy to start looking at getting all the money back. Like, are they going to continue to hold that money in reserve, or can we have it? It'll just go into our personal reserve fund, and we won't have this ongoing
Escrow.
yes with them. So that's been those are the 3 main items that came up in the 6-month review. All the board members should have gotten the 6-month review. So I'd like to pass a motion that we accept the 6-month review that's been submitted by Mindy.
Second? Seconded. Okay. Jeff, that's Humphrey seconded. All right, you will receive a copy of this. There's nothing that, the only person that wouldn't have received one but did get one after the meeting is Ginny.
The only person I
She's the only member who's not on the
didn't
committee.
get it, and I had it sent to her today,
Yeah.
so.
So, I just want to point, there's one thing I wanted to ask Russell, that the meter reading, because that's something that Mindy was concerned about. Have we filed a complaint, online with the city or anything about this?
Yeah, I actually did that through the website that she recommended.
And we got a number and everything?
Yes. We
Okay.
filed a case number, but I haven't been contacted as of yet.
Because we're just worried, Mindy's worried, that if you notice the number for meter reading, it's down for the water, it's down below what we budgeted, and they're doing this by estimation. We would like somebody to come here and actually look at this meter and say, okay, this is your number. And, it's okay to estimate, but once...
It's been a few years.
Yeah, that's the point. Once every year or so, you should come in and look at this thing. So that's why we filed this complaint.
Ultimately, it could be
All
a
right.
good or a bad thing.
Is there anything else to discuss? If we're ready? I'm going to move to a vote, okay?
Wait. There's,
I'm not rushing you, Dan.
do we, I think that it'd be nice to report the good news in this, which is, essentially we've got a positive variance of, what is it now? 6 months, 655,000.
It's not,
That's a timing issue.
it's a timing issue. We won't know the final. First of all, this is a year, it's really not 6 months, it's a year to date. From last semi-annual to this semi-annual, it compares those 2 time periods. So this committee is very clear about this. It's an audit. It's 6 months now, but it compares us to
The last
year.
the next 6 months.
The last year.
That matches this 6 months. So you audit it. You're always doing an audit of the time period. It's not an estimation. But it does say, and you were right, Dan, that we are in surplus of $616,146,000.
655.
616,146. Last page, Dan, is where you read that number at the bottom. So this is a good number. This is the first time in my time on the board that this is the most stable report we've received. That's 4 years. So I'm really happy about it, because I remember as treasurer that we brought Mindy here to do this business, and she's given us really good information over the last 6 years. But you are correct. That is good news. The better news will be that we are not looking at an assessment like we did last year, to make up the difference, which is very good news to everybody. The board doesn't even have to think about that this year. And the best news will be at the end of the year, when we see the final statement on April 3rd, because you have a special board meeting that day, to receive this, the Finance Committee receives it, and we will see it. we'll see what we really did for the year. And that would be the best news of all, is how you close out the year.
This is true, but why not report the good news that we have now?
I did, 616, 146.
In the flash report.
Yeah, and the treasurer's report.
How about over $600,000?
Yeah, fine.
Some of that has to do with timing, and I don't know if it's the...
Well, you're going to write a letter. Actually, it's not the flash report, Dan, that's involved here. This is a letter from the treasurer that's going to be put out. Remember, there's a letter that the treasurer puts out at this time? So let the treasurer put out the report and report what this has to say, the way the treasurer does every year, and it'll be fine. It's an official, it'll come out on the golden rod, okay? Are we all ready? All ready? All in favor? Wonderful.
I have one more thing now.
Of course.
So we're starting to budget for next year. We've sent out notices to various committees and what have you for their budgeting. And the good news, I'd like to remind the board, last year we passed a motion that as opposed to funding our committees by giving them the money outright and they hold it in their own accounts, they have a line item in the budget. And then they have to come to us for money and it gets taken out. A lot of the committees are not using that money. So it's going to be our money at the end of the year and we will see fit how to use it. So the committees know that that funding will reset to zero at the end of the year and they have to approach us for new funding.
Go ahead, Dan. You want to say something?
Yeah, so, John, this is all very informative. I know I'm a member of the Finance Committee and I did not attend the last meeting. But I think that your report to the board as the treasurer should include some pretty kind of like the basics of the month. What I mean is that, the basic variances, for the month and year to date.
I can
hold on a
receive your
second, hold on.
email. Yeah.
Because I know.
Let him say it,
This
and
is
then
important.
we'll do whatever we have to do.
It's not just about, it's not me, okay, it's about governance, okay, and it's about kind of reporting into the board structure what the board's finances are. And then that can be then, goes into the flash report, so the shareholders can know. That's I think the sort of basic duties of the treasurer.
Thank you. We all appreciate your criticism. It was very well done. Thank you. Okay, so now we voted. John, anything else as treasurer? No? Okay. So now it's my turn. All right. So my turn is this. We had a town hall meeting Sunday. Some of the board members attended. It was our first meeting with the bylaws for open market. We learned some very important facts that we think will carry over into our discussion next month. We have two more meetings. We have a meeting Monday night at 8 o'clock, and we have the MGCA meeting on Thursday. Monday, I run the meeting, because it's a board meeting, but on Thursday's meeting, it's really MGCA's meeting, and we'll follow. We don't want to take up your whole night, because our meeting took 2.5 hours. We had a very open town hall meeting. There was no time limit on anyone getting up and speaking. Everyone was allowed to ask if they wanted 2 questions. It didn't have to be a follow-up question. It could be 2 different questions. There were statements that people were allowed to make. And when everything was taken down, we had a lot of recorders. I was taking notes, Yvonne was taking notes, Hyla was taking, we had note takers all over the place. We compared our notes at the end. We think we know where we're going, and we will report to the board in October. So it was great. I really appreciated I appreciated the community's input so far. It's been fabulous. Now, Steve Letterman has now been appointed by me as chair of the Family Activities Committee, and he has now become a member of the Amenities Committee. I had an interview with him. He's going to be, I think, a great asset to the community. And I would like to say that Lisa Courtney, I'm sorry to see her go. She gave it up. She was an outstanding chair and a great asset to our community. and it was always a pleasure having her come and speak to the board and address us on whatever issue was important to the committee. You should also know that there was a change on the House Rules Committee. Janet Titus has dropped off the committee, and Doris Bernhardt, H-A-R-D-T, has become a member. Otherwise, the committee stays the same. In addition, you noticed today, I think you even heard it today, there was tree pruning going on. Today was day 1. Day 2 will be October 1st. A lot of pruning, a lot of cleaning up. Some of the trees I was amazed at what had to be pruned, so it's great. This year we have a new landscaping company, and the report is that they are doing an outstanding job. Griffin is doing a really great job for us. Fascinating to me is that we have poison ivy. And we are not a kill society. We don't use poisons to kill the poison. So this is being removed manually by human beings, which to me is the most frightening thing of all, but Richie Cabo is what he does. So we're getting rid of it. It was found around the upper lawn and near and on the wall of the children's playground. So this is gone. Griffin's Landscaping has donated 400 bulbs to the community for a planting event to take place on a Saturday in October, and the bulbs will be distributed across the whole campus. They'll be in all the different locations around the 6 buildings. A lot of stuff. In addition, there is a Building 2 spot that is going to be called the Lottie Strauss Glen Beta Garden. Yes, Lottie. The Lottie Strauss Glen Beta Garden. And the funds for this are coming out of the In Honor campaign that was developed for Lottie and for Glenn. And whatever a little bit is extra, the Grounds Committee intends to contribute to it to make it possible to beautify that area. And that's my report. What would you like? Oh, that is Doris Bernhardt. Doris Bernhardt. Anything else? That is the House Rules Committee. Right. Yes, Steve.
What is the status of the website?
That's a good thing. I think you're reporting on it tonight, aren't you?
I wasn't going to tell you. It's almost ready to launch, hopefully.
We're having a meeting next week.
We're meeting with Russell and Larry and to talk about logistics of staffing and stuff like that, which should be launched at the end of the month, I hope.
So we are now up to the committee reports, and the first committee reporter is John Buscarello, Systems and Structures. He's been given that detail.
So, Systems and Structure has been assigned the task to look at and upgrade the lobby furniture. And after a review of many different possibilities, I'll pass this around and some of you can look at it. We came up with this particular
Can I say
sofa.
this way?
Yes, this particular sofa and chair.
I'm good. You got more? Okay. Dan, when you see this, we want to make sure you get a good look at this. We don't want to keep you in the dark.
Just Dan.
But you get yours. It didn't get there? Oh, Dan, here's another one. Seriously.
We went through many different.
I didn't realize. Oh, stop that.
We went through many different selections and fabrics, and we came up with this fabric. This is the wood leg, this fabric for the sofa, and this fabric for the chairs. I'll pass it around. The color family
No, do it. Just do it.
plays off of our wood veneer that we have in the hallways. In your packet is the proposal from the Evanston Desk, who's the furniture dealer.
John, if you would, before you go into that particular proposal, could you tell everybody how you got to that proposal?
The committee, Russell made the first presentation with a grouping of furniture that he selected, had priced out. It was very nice, but the committee wanted further choices. They then dropped in my lap to find some other possibilities. I came back to them with several different options at several different price points. We looked at some of the things that were less expensive or just a little too office-like in their approach, and so we spent a lot of time going through, and then it is amazing to get the full committee to vote unanimously that we selected these items.
It did work.
So we really looked at several different price points, several different options.
Okay, go ahead, John.
So you have in your package, the total price is $30,000. It includes sales tax and delivery of the pieces of furniture. It's approximately $5,000 a lobby.
And how much discount are we getting, by the way? I understand it's a very good discount we got, right?
Well, it's list price on furniture, office furniture, is usually discounted as much as 40%. We're getting about 44% off on this. One of the things that came through loud and clearly for most of our older tenants, the furniture we have now is just simply too low. The seating is a bit higher. So that's the recommendation. This is the recommendation. I guess the motion is that we accept this proposal to buy new lobby furniture
From Evanston Best.
Evanston Best.
All right? Yes, Mitchell, please.
So it's going to be it's going to be similar, one long and then two short.
Yes.
Yeah, it's called the sofa.
Yeah,
Right.
sofa and two chairs, yes.
So, and this is the price for, so 12, so it's two of the small and one
This is
large
the
for
complete
each-
price.
for each
It's 3
room, yeah.
pieces in every lobby.
And then we have the table,
The table stays.
That's going to be my next motion,
oh, okay,
to get a budget to change the rug and the table.
okay. Trying to visualize, so yeah, there's a rug underneath and then there's a table.
Right.
The rug really needs to go, but that that was not the directive we received, so it was not a part of the.
This is a committee motion.
Yes.
Yes, committee, no second required. Maitri, just if you're finished?
Yeah.
Okay, Dan.
Just one question. So is furniture a system or a structure?
Yes.
First of all,
You're hot tonight, Dan. Really, you are on fire. Don't stop, man. Oh, no, you're good. You're great. Keep it up. I can't, you must be building to a climax here. Go ahead.
So, look, you just looked that I know nothing about this. This is your expertise, right? So, right?
That was nice, Dan. Very good.
They're very moderately priced for.
All right. Can we, the motion is, I think the motion is clear, right? It's on the, what's it on the?
Accept the Evanston Best proposal in the amount of $29,542.15 for lobby furniture.
Okay, we're all set?
You want one comment in the order?
When do we start doing that? What's, jeez, come on. Where the board? Are we set to vote, folks? Ready? All in favor? Unanimous. Okay. We agreed on lobby furniture. Let that be noted in history.
Yes.
Assuming the fabric is in stock, it's relatively quick. I think it's like 8 weeks. Pretty quick.
Yeah, it's going to be,
For this guy.
it's going to be an amazing difference. I'm going to charge you with something. Roland, I think you should put together a team to look at the rug and the table and come back with an idea of what, if the table can remain, that's one thing, but if you think the table, if the committee thinks the table should go and a rug, let's see what our price is for that. All right? I'll have a recommendation, okay?
Okay.
Because this is a good price. It's much less, if we had upholstered this furniture, it was going to be huge, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be huge. And what's nice, if you notice, what's really nice about this furniture is the only thing that's wood is the lace. Think about the furniture in the lobby. You got a lot of wood showing. This is just the leg.
I think the best part is the height.
And the height. Okay?
I helped a lot of people out.
Oh, people like me need the height, because you gotta get up off the chair.
Janine, what do we do with the
Oh, you can donate it. I mean, you can donate.
Do you have a place to go? Do you have a place where to
Yeah,
go?
what do you call it?
Like shelter.
No, you know who picks up furniture is on Columbus Avenue?
Housing
Housing Works, yeah. They'll pick it up too.
Would you reach out or make it up?
They'll check it out.
Look at it.
They look at it first, and if it's a
The
mess,
place
then
that
I'll
always picks up furniture no matter what is Catholic Charities.
And Catholic Charities, so Housing Works and Catholic Charities.
we need to go.
They can bid.
We're not, oh, we do, wait. We do want, there is a call, by the way, if we make donations, right, we get, right, we want a tax rate. A tax rate. Okay, we are now up to tenant selection, who we normally only hear from in closed session, so this is a whole new world for us.
All right.
Alfred, you're on.
Okay, I have two motions, which were voted on by the tenant selection committee, based upon our observations of what factors seem to affect the selling rates of our units. Motion number one is whereas the tenant selection committee has noticed that some apartments appear to be selling at below market rates due to the poor condition of the apartments. TSC moves that, one, the board of directors ensures that House Rule 31, outgoing shareholder responsibilities, and bylaw 59A, sale and transfer of stock or joint interest mandatory notice of corporation regarding the preparation of apartments before placement on the market as set forth in the attached guidelines be strictly enforced. Now, it should, as you all have
You got to say one.
I just wanted to point out the attachment.
Okay.
Which there are a number of items in House Rule 31. For instance, apartments must be clean and free of clutter, cracks, holes, and plaster, etc. must be taken care of by the corporation. The apartment must be painted if needed. Those are examples. For flooring, if the floor is carpeted, carpets must be cleaned, or if it's in bad shape, removed. These are just some of the highlights. Bathroom, tub and sink faucets and toilets must be working properly, and there should be no leakage afterwards. Cabinets must be cleaned and or painted. All leaks must be repaired. This is for the kitchen, the last two items. And for the electrical light switches and light sconces must function, and there should be a light bulb in all fixtures, and electrical inspection must be performed prior to closing. Those are already in existence. However, it appears that this has not been something that has been adhered to. So this part of this motion is basically to have management pay attention to the existing guidelines. And point two of this motion is that the board direct management not to accept an intent to sell agreement until the seller complies with House Rule 31, or the corporation has implemented the necessary remediation at the seller's expense.
Okay, it doesn't need a second, it's from the committee. We are now open for discussion. Ian?
I just have a question, which is, there are these things presentable, painted if needed, bad shape. This is management's discretion, just who makes this?
Actually, the painting is not, can be management's discretion. According to our rules, an apartment must be painted every 5 years.
So that's what if needed means, if it's been 5 years?
Well, if it's been 5 years and you've used cheap paint and the paint is in bad condition, the management can say you need to paint it because you haven't done it in 5 years. On the other hand, if you use very good paint, which stands up better, and the apartment looks very good, management can say this apartment doesn't need painting. But there are many apartments that need to be painted because they have these lovely bubbles that are developed on the walls and haven't been repaired, and then they need to be primed and painted, et cetera, et cetera.
I think I got the answer. The answer is it's management makes these judgments.
And they would make that judgment call by not accepting the intent to sell agreement if they thought it wasn't up to par.
John?
I just wonder how you thought about only apartments that are in arrears and whether financially they are not able to make these repairs.
Oh,
How do
I
we handle that?
have a suggestion.
Wait, before anyone suggests anything, Russell, if this is passed, John's asking a question, and we have apartments in arrears, and they're not able to pay for the thing, how would we handle that as management? How would you handle this demand? How would we do it?
Well, we need the seller to agree to whatever charges they may be. If they are unable to pay immediately per se, we can agree to make some repairs on their behalf and charge it to their account, and then their account gets settled at the closing. So it can happen, however, we wouldn't want to necessarily get too deep. You know, we don't want to provide a $40,000 renovation to somebody and try to put that in the bill. Very basic repairs, painting, faucets, you know, things of that nature. So, but we would definitely need their agreement. They would have to initiate, in a way, the work order, and we would approve the work order to get done.
We also need a commitment that they will carry out the sale, because once they have a fixed apartment, you don't want that to stay. So they have to sign something that they would agree.
Well,
We have the mandatory intent to sell in the first place, but
do we have mandatory intent to sell? Well, I don't know. I think someone withdrew their apartment for mandatory.
you can have, well, right now you can after the
20 days, right.
So that's something we need to look into.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know necessarily think that matters. If they choose to
Yeah.
stay, they're going to pay for their repairs.
Right.
So,
How are they gonna pay? They're not paying, they're gonna
that's
to
true.
begin with, so you don't want to, you want to make sure that they're.
like I said, I don't see the expenses piling up to be very large. I mean, I think these are all very basic repairs that could probably be addressed.
They are, but you still don't want them sitting in the apartment with a cleaned up apartment now when they have no intention really to sell it.
Jerry?
Answered. It was answered.
Oh, okay. Anybody else? All right. Can we move to a vote on this motion?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor? It's unanimous. Okay. Motion number 2.
Okay, motion number 2. Whereas tenant selection committee has noticed that many apartments on the market that have had sublets approved only seem to have offers accepted by their sellers near or just after the termination of the sublet term. TSC moves that, effective immediately, new sublets not be permitted on apartments on or in the process of being put on the market.
All right. This is from the committee. Requires no second. Yvonne has her hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, full disclosure, I am on the committee. I was not at the meeting that this was discussed at, but I know...
Are you making a motion?
A motion? I will, but I just want to preface this by saying, no, I'm not going to make, well, yes, I will. But I just want to explain that I would like to respectfully request that the chair table this motion and to send it back to committee. And they
Well, you have to make the motion, and it's not debatable, and we go to a vote. Are you making that motion?
Yeah.
Okay, the motion's been made, it doesn't need a second, we are now in a vote.
But can we hear
Well,
her
let's hear some
explanation?
I'll let her explain it after. No explanation is required on the motion to table. You don't have a debate, you don't have discussion, motion to table. I'll let her explain why after we vote. That's the rule. Am I correct, Anna? Am I saying it?
Does it need a second?
No second on table the motion.
No, a motion to table, it's not.
It's not debatable and not seconded. It goes right to a vote.
And it's not allowed to be explained. It's like explicitly it says in the Robert's Rules, you are never allowed to explain a tabling motion before.
I didn't say
the
she
vote.
would, no, you don't. You just table it, that's
Well,
it.
it's prohibited though.
Can I make a suggestion? I think we should just talk about this. If people understand what they're voting on, what's the motion, why are
Right.
they doing it?
Yeah.
If you feel that that would make everybody happy, I'm a happy guy. Dan is making me happy. He's so excited tonight. I just don't know what's going on with him. So I'm happy too. Go ahead, Yvonne, explain it.
Well, I'll explain, because in reading this, and I was thinking about it, and I know that in the bylaws, in Article 3, Section 60B, there is already one prohibition, and that is on an internal transfer, that you cannot sublet either apartment. You have no right to sublet either apartment during the period once you put your apartment on the market and you buy the other one. However, I think the problem is that we have rules in different documents. So we've got this rule in the bylaws, we have something else, these other documents address it as well, the house rules, the proprietary lease, which basically refers to the house rules, but I haven't had a chance to read the whole thing. And then the house rules address it. I think it's House Rule 33. But in addition to that, it says that in the management office, there's yet another document available in the management office that gives explicit rules about house rules. So that's one reason, and also because somewhere there might be something about any apartment not being able to be sublet already. And it was allowed, and the extension was allowed as well, and I don't know, and I don't know if anybody here knows, if the board had actually voted on that. Was it a resolution? Is it in violation of a bylaw or the proprietary lease? If they did, and if not, maybe the tenant selection committee went ahead and voted on that, but that should have been something, if it is a house rule, it should have been the board to vote on it. So I think there's a little bit of confusion in that the tenant selection committee maybe should
Review it.
review this.
Right, it wasn't tabled to kill, it was tabled to go back to the committee so that they can
know
move
what we
forward.
voted on.
Okay, so let's go now to the vote, please. All in favor?
To table.
Table.
Tabling.
It's back, it's unanimous, it's tabled. Okay, we're good. All right, so now, I think this is the moment that everybody's been waiting for. This might be it. Is this it, Dan? This is you. You're on.
Okay, resolution. Whereas bringing compost to the compost area is a burden for many residents in buildings 1, 5, and 6, particularly the elderly, which will only worsen as the weather becomes less favorable. And whereas MHHC has invested minimal resources to date to sustain and grow the MHHC composting program, and whereas making composting more convenient to residents will increase participation and lessen our solid waste, therefore be it resolved that composting bins shall be placed in or near the basements of buildings 1, 5, and 6. The responsibility for upkeep and emptying the bins shall be part of the regular porter rounds, and every effort shall be made to ensure the bins and areas they occupy are free of odor, waste, and pests. Management may discontinue the program if it is deemed unfeasible. The status of this initiative shall be part of the regular management report to the board.
Is there a second? Andy? Okay. There's a second. We are now open to discussion. Dan, you can speak to it.
So speaking to it, so, I mean, this is, it's great that we're doing composting. This is happening more and more around the city. It seems like there's kind of a spectrum of how much we want to invest in here and how convenient we want to make it for the shareholders. They're sort of inversely related. So you can kind of have like the platinum plan, which is like what some of the buildings on Central Park West do, where they put their compost in the bin in the hallway or right outside their door because they're like own the whole floor. And then,
Say that again?
The Central Park West. I mean, I forget what the building is, but like there's some.
The Durst building you're talking about, the lovely Durst building.
Yeah, the Durst building on 67th Street. So, they put it outside, the porter collects it, every day, and it's all very sanitary and convenient. That would be quite costly for us. I think we're on kind of like the other end of the spectrum where we have a bin, in a location and 6 buildings that people kind of have to traipse out there for. This does not cost us anything really. I mean, it does not cost the porters much at all to do it. The bins are all donated, and everybody's, so it doesn't really go to our bottom line. And I think there's a middle ground here. I think there's something that will be more convenient to the shareholders. I believe that we tested, we're pest-free, pretty much with the bins outside. Let's try it a little closer to the buildings, a little bit more convenient to the shareholders. So this is an opportunity to do that.
Andy?
I like this idea. I am a very enthusiastic composter, and it's quite a schlep from building 6 to building 1. And as the motion says, that will become less and less enjoyable of a walk. So, I think this will increase the participation.
Since this has to do with our finances and how we charge maintenance and what can do, Russell, could you please comment?
I honestly think part of one of the reasons we set it up the way we did, first and foremost, is a voluntary program at this point in time. And should it get to a point where it becomes a mandatory issue, I think at that point we may roll it out and may have to hire more staff to manage it. At our current level, and one of the reasons we set it up the way we did was to give the residents who want to volunteer to participate the opportunity to do it. At no, the biggest thing was no nominal additional expenses for the corporation. I really feel that if we start putting these in selected buildings, whether it's just those 3 or should they roll out to all, it would be an undue burden at that point for the building staff. They can do it, we can assign them to do it, but then I feel that something of their duties will become amiss. Less cleaning of an elevator on a daily basis, less cleaning of floors, less attention to detail on what their current roles are. So there is a trade-off here, and not necessarily a dollar and cents trade-off, but the services the building staff are able to provide. So
Mike?
the question is are we willing to reduce building services to accomplish this?
Mike?
The way I was reading it was that, so right now, if the porters go and they kind of get everything out from each of the closets, so they get the compost, not the composting, the recycling and the paper and the cans and stuff like that. So that's a daily duty they would do anyway, right? And then take all that and they kind of bundle it together and then drive it over to building 4. So could that be, so the way I'm imagining it is it's just one bin, it's not on each floor, obviously, it would just be one bin in those buildings, so say if it's in those 3 buildings. And then as they're loading it up into the truck to drive it over to building 4, how hard would it be to kind of just roll that additional kind of bin and then just put it on the truck and then drive it over? So it would be once a day, it doesn't necessarily have to be at the time that the delivery people are picked up, it's just a once a day transport from that building. It's just an extra container.
I actually think the volume would be even more than one day, more than once a day, and it may have to be policed a couple times a day. Weekends would be even more of a challenge where we are on a minimum skeletal staff on the weekends. We only have 3 guys here, and that's probably the largest time frame of when composters are dumping their waste is on the weekends. We won't have the ability to have staff make 2-3 runs and still pull regular garbage and do their basic duties.
I just want to, if I may, I just want to remind you of how this works. This is not a plastic bag filled with compost that gets put out to be taken by sanitation. This is a pail that they prescribe that has a metal bar that must be put up against their truck. It is lifted by their truck and dumped. This is not once a day I'm bringing a pail down to the bottom. This is a much different system. They have the requirements. They told us what we had to do.
So we would just
We
find-
told them how we would do it so that we would not impinge upon the services and the finances of the corporation. I just want to explain to you, it's not a
No, I know,
garbage
I know,
bag
yeah.
filled
No,
with
I know.
recycled material.
I know.
All right, Yvonne.
Well, actually, I thought that the motion was particularly aimed at the elderly, Andy. I know, that's what I mean, because you said you do a lot of composting. That's why I said that. But the reason why I mentioned that is because I believe there is an initiative that was discussed at the last MGCA meeting, that MGCA and the CRC, and also, what's the name of Skip?
Well, Skip Delano is in CRC, it doesn't matter.
Or he is the committee, or
Yeah.
I don't know whether he's got a subcommittee, that they are trying to put together a shareholder initiative to help, that neighbors help neighbors. And
And it's
the idea
working.
is, they've already started it, they're to help people that don't have the time, well, can't walk down there.
I see.
They're going to begin to collect, neighbors will help by collecting compost from their neighbors. And I think it's a really good idea because, as I understand it, I heard this a long time ago about, we're really short of porters. And, it just doesn't seem like, it seems like it might be something that will become unsanitary very quickly. And if we have shareholders and neighbors who are willing to make this an initiative that neighbors help neighbors, and we talk about community, and that's what Morningside Gardens is, well, at least partially about, I won't say all about, that maybe that's what we should try first. We haven't gone through a winter yet with composting, so we don't know. And I think, we should try it out and see if our neighbors really can achieve what they're hoping to do.
And there's one more thing you should know. We are in partner with Grow New York City. That's our partner. That's the guy that's monitoring what we do. They're telling us, they gave us a report for August, right? They're due to give us another report in a couple of months.
So I don't have a time frame of how long
Right,
they...
but they're going to report to us and tell us things, which is going to be reported to you. But the point is that we're going to know how we're doing and what's going on, and then we can look at this and see if there's something we can do to tweak it, but not, it's going to be very difficult to satisfy what is required by the sanitation department and still satisfy the needs of this community and the financial resources of this community. Dan?
Okay. So, I mean, it's a good point. We could kind of like kumbaya this thing, basically, and like all kind of pitch in and like help our neighbors out, and that's all a wonderful thing, right? But it's not sustainable. I mean, this is, if you're, and I think this is all really about like whether we are going to take this initiative seriously and invest resources. And I don't pretend to think that this is not going to be, that there's no cost to this. I mean, I think in fact there would be a cost, and I'd like to see what it is. Is it maybe, one FTE quarter's time that we invest in this? I mean, we do have we spend $30,000 on furniture. I mean, we make priorities all the time in what we do. That's a good investment. This is a question about whether this is something that we truly believe is something we want to invest in and have as part of our system and of waste disposal, or if it's just basically a hobby for people who are kind of the greenest among us.
Okay, we're ready? Oh, I guess we're not. I'm sorry. Jerry and then Maitri. Okay.
As probably the person who lives the farthest away from this, although there are two people in my building who are a bit further down the hall, I am, I wouldn't mind seeing it closer. I thought about where would you put this, and I can't exactly think of a place in the building, in the hall, up the stairs,
in the basement.
I'm not sure you want it actually in the building, but I'm very concerned about the money that's spent for people to do it, not knowing whether there's a difference. So I wonder whether we might just delay it, see what happens. If it goes down drastically when the weather is awful, then think about revisiting it. But for now, I'm concerned that the porters already have enough to do.
Maitri?
I think I get there's a certain specific container, we've already bought them, it's just a matter of getting the same exact container because it'll fit the specifications, it has a metal bar. I know I was part of all those discussions. I honestly don't think I really don't think it's that much of it's not going to be an FTE, it's basically one extra bucket or whatever that's being loaded on. I still don't feel it's that much of an imposition. I think it really, it's simpler than I think we're making it sound. But anyway.
I mean, I can agree with you on a full staff Monday through Friday weekday. I would tend to agree with you, but one person on vacation and one guy gets out sick causes almost a domino effect. At that point, who cleans what building? Who's going to go and get the composting
but
from
someone's
that
doing
building?
it anyway.
No, like if your porter is out sick that day, we now have to adjust another porter and pull him from another building to make sure he gets to that building to get composting out. There's a constant coordination that has to happen where one domino in the bunch falls. It's not as simple as, the weekends is really the biggest challenge.
Are we going to kill this, or can we just vote it up, please? Dan, you spoken.
Okay, thank you. So I think that
I was trying to have you not speak, but go ahead.
Plan about the weekends, and this could be something where you put a bin out on any weekdays. You want to go do your compost on the weekends. It's or you maybe do it 2 days a week downstairs or something like that. There's some level of convenience that I think you have to offer the cooperative at some expense. And we have we're not running a deficit. It's not like this is a nominal expense probably.
You're talking about salary, benefits. You have to remember where we were 3 years. Just so we're clear, Jim. You have to remember where you were when you ran 3 years ago, and how you wanted to reduce how you complained about the 15.14% increase.
That's a red
And
herring.
complaining about the money going up in maintenance, and now you want to add to
That's
maintenance.
a red herring. This is, it's a question.
I don't believe it's a red herring. You're talking about increasing
Does the
our
board
budget.
support composting, or does the board not really support composting? Want to give it some lip service?
All right, so,
That's what this vote is
so
all
we're
about.
calling the question now, okay? All in favor? Okay? All opposed?
Oh, wait, you voted on calling the question?
Oh,
No,
I'm-
if you call the question,
That's
it
to
goes to vote.
it goes to vote,
Oh,
okay?
okay.
All in favor of the question? 3. All opposed?
Wait a minute, Ackerman, Whitetree, and Dan, okay?
All opposed?
One,
Hands,
two,
please.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have concluded the open session. I hope you've provided the proper entertainment for the evening.
You can make it, you're an amusing guy too, but these are all serious issues.
I don't think I'm taking anything lightly. I'm not taking anything lightly.
Visit it.
When spring comes around, Dan, we will have a review.
The last motion is that you will ask for reports on increases.
We will have it.
Voted down too. It was voted down.
No, we are getting reports. You're missing the point. We are getting reports.
You're gonna get building by
From,
building?
no, it was never intended by building. It was intended for.
Why not we use
We will,
the data you can get here?
we, you can't keep talking about spending money. You can't keep talking about spending money when you vote, when you run, I can't take it for too much money. You can spend it. Spend money, we're controlling the budget, we're controlling our costs.
It's not that much money.
No, it's done. I just don't, the concept of it's not real money is amazing to me. You're amazing when you talk about money, you're amazing to me. You're just simply amazing. Simply amazing. Somebody's saying it's 7.
Can we?
We're not done. Wait. You want to go to closed session, right? Or you want to go to a room? Oh, okay. Well, I think it's going to be discussed, so why don't you just wait?
Just my email?
Yes, I think it's going to be discussed.
No one wrote back to me, so I didn't.
Well, you wrote just before we came to the meeting.
So I'm just asking you, that's fine. If you're asking me,
Yeah.
Also, the fact that,
that was my question, I was waiting for closed session.
That's what I'm saying, we're going to do it.
My head's not shaking.
yeah, right.
Well, what is your question?
Because I came right home there, I
Oh,
came
that's
right
okay.
home.
So I want to tell you something. Don't use those excuses.
I came home, and like right after the stupid meeting.
And can the meeting? Is anybody going to the meeting? Yes. Okay, so we have to wait. Yeah. Doug and John.
Our report
To reach 100.
oxygen rate.
Okay, you're on. Well, you get so many people.
Oh, wait, don't you dare go anywhere. I have to say hello. How are you? Yeah, I love.
You don't get as much, do you? No. It has nothing to do. Your Canadian, but you're printing budget.
I would like to have asked a question, but it's probably too early to do that, because I'm concerned with the rush for flip tax and selling apartments, that the apartments is undervalued and doesn't get.
Well, no, that's one reason why the tenant selection committee made those rules, made the rules explicit about what those apartments need to look like. Because what really brings down the value is when people put bad condition apartments
Are you going to
on the market, and people pay a lot less. And that's on the record then. So that's what devalues them. And we're trying to stop it now, whether or not.
You've been very fortunate. You see how much love was out there?
What's your number? Because I was just going to tell you.
Somebody asked. Thank you for recording.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.